should only be watched in conjunction with the manual, Thug Jitsu, Intelligent Asymmetric Responses to Violence. You should watch this DVD after you've read the manual. All I'm going to do is go through some of the drills and some of the applications that were shown in the manual. I should say up front, this isn't about giving you more techniques, this is about a training methodology that adheres to certain principles. Thank you. The first and most important principle behind this DVD is looking at the fact that how you train in the dojo and how you train in the gym is how you're likely to react in real life. And the way that we are training ourselves commonly might not actually be the best way of preparing ourselves for real world violence. So we've come up with this concept of the core game plan, which is like a standard operational procedure with multiple layers of redundancy. Sounds posh, but all it means is that if your first plan messes up and doesn't work out, then you've got a second one, and then you've got a third one, and a fourth one. It's a very, very simple, very, very brutal, asymmetric. Asymmetric just means that it's not an even trade-off between us. I'm applying my strengths to him at the range and at the time that I want to be applying them to his weaknesses. And it's a one-way process. I'm not going to stand here and trade blows like a martial arts film or a kickboxing match. I am going to look to deliver a beating using deception and surprise as the platform for doing that. So the core game plan, very, very simply, is it starts in one of two ways. Either you've been aware of the person and it starts from some sort of verbal exchange or somebody coming over to you and you've allowed yourself the chance and you've been allowed the chance to set them up and then from there deliver a preemptive strike, which could be a right cross, could be an elbow, could be a headbutt. Doesn't really matter. I'm not going to be too much of a fascist with you as to what those are my preferred three. You know, some people want to do palms, you might want to do some kind of a restraint technique. It's really up to you. The primary objective at this point is to cause unconsciousness. The other way that it could start is if I get blindsided, so the first time I get punched in the back of the head. And we've got to be realistic about these things because you see a lot of people training to fight and it's always from here. If you just stay frozen in that position you're in. So there's this assumption very frequently in martial arts that you're going to have that chance to see them and that you're going to be at exactly arm's length and it's going to come from the front. When in real life it doesn't work out like that. This is often, bang, is more often the model of where fights can start. There's a number of reasons why it might have started like this, but we need to train ourselves to immediately retaliate to that kind of violence with offensive pressure moving into his space. And what's the process here? Same thing again, we didn't have a setup, we just responded. I'm going to be confused, I'm not going to know what's going on, I'm going to have stepped into space, I'm going to try and grab onto him, I'm not going to rely too much on visual information, I'm going to get some physical contact, feel where he is using good combative attributes like proprioception and kinesthetic sensitivity, and from here I'm fucking hit him. Again, headbutting, punch to the jaw can only be to the jaw on the head, there is no other valid target on the head for your hand to hit. Only punch to the jaw, don't palm anywhere else on the head either, just to the jaw. If the jaw's not open, you don't use it. Or you come in with an elbow strike. These are my preferred techniques, but you're coming straight inside and you're immediately attacking him. That's your first phase. What you hope for at this phase is you've gone bang, whether you've set him up and clipped him, or you've responded and clipped him, that he just goes down. And that's our objective. What happens if that doesn't happen? What happens if he hits me, bang, I return, bang, bang, and he's still up? I then have to deliver more pressure. I have to keep that pressure on him and blitz him in whatever way I can just to buy myself time and to keep his head down. This is like the same concept as suppressive fire in the military. I want to keep his head down. And what you do at this point is up to you. If I'm very, very close range, I could be gouging into his face here. When he responds to that, I could bang, drive a knee in there. Low line shots kicking into his knees. I could still be looking for sniper shots with my fist, but only into the jaw. Elbow, same thing, has to be into the jaw. Still looking for a knockout. If he still hasn't gone down, after I've attacked him, I've hit him, I've gone bang, 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 kicked him, kneed him, gouged into his face, biting him, he's still not gone down. We go to the third phase, which is where you start to control the head and take his head to here. So basically all I'm going to do is drag his head to his centre of gravity, or towards his centre of gravity, to crush him in. From here, it's very, very hard for him to counter-attack me, and I'm in a good, strong position. I'm nice and involved here. I've brought his head down. If he still won't go down, give him a few knees to soften him up. You can even reach in and start choking him, gouging him a bit more. And then the simplest takedown in the world that you can do, I'm just going to do this slowly, is I'm just going to drag his head down towards the floor here. So I'm just going to go real slow just to protect my partner, down here, and drag him to the floor. So the simplest way to get that takedown is to just drag the guy's head down to the floor. You know, nice, savage, simple thing to do. Grab his head, yank it towards you into your center of gravity, keeping him close, his head close into your body. Here's another principle: where the head goes, the body must follow, and just place it to the floor. Why? Once you've got him down to the floor, unless he's actually got a gun on him, he is now much less dangerous. Having got him to this point, we're going to look at the highest level of threat now. This isn't a DVD, a tutorial on criminal law. You need to understand criminal law for yourselves, you need to research that for yourselves, and you need to understand how to use reasonable force. That's down to you. My job is to show you how to protect yourselves. Imagine this is a home invasion, it's 3 guys, they're all armed, and you've only just got one of them down to the floor. You've got another 2 guys to fight. Am I going to step over him and let him get back up? I don't fucking think so. If he's gone to the floor, bang, straight into his head. I want him knocked out at least, and then I'm going to fire into the other 2 guys. A lower level of force, if you're police or a doorman or a psychiatric nurse, you've got him to the floor. That's a major part of your game plan as a policeman, is you want him to the floor so you can roll him and cuff him. If you're a doorman, really you want to be throwing him out, but if it's been a very violent exchange, you can pin him to the floor. Once a guy's gone to the floor, it only takes 2 of you to, even if he's a big guy, to safely pin a man to the floor to wait for the police to come. Psychiatric nurse, don't know that much about it, don't know what your SOPs are, but I imagine if somebody's been kicking off, you take them to the floor, they're a lot less dangerous to you and a lot less dangerous to themselves. They now can't throw themselves into objects and hurt themselves. So the highest level of threat, gone to the floor. It's 4 o'clock in the morning, there's 3 guys in my house, they're all armed, I've only just taken 1 guy down, I've got a fraction of a second to deal with him, bang, that's the most ergonomically efficient thing I can do to take him out. Then I can deal with the other guys. The other things you could do is, yes, you could, if depending on what you judge to be reasonable force in the scenario, you can stamp into the body, kick into the groin, kick into the legs, whatever. The important thing is, we've taken him to the floor. Goes without saying, guys, maintain your common sense. If there's another 2 guys with knives there across the room from me, I'm not going to get down with them and start grappling with them and throw a choke on him, am I? I have to keep upright, I have to keep myself where I can see the other threats that are coming and be able to deal with them. So that's the core game plan in a nutshell for you. Thank you. So another thing I'd like to bring up at this point is, remember, the name of the manual is Thug Jitsu. This is it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek name. It's a term that I was using with my mates for years, just training with them. There was a comparison between just getting stuck in and delivering a beating versus all this flowery, very, very complicated way of doing martial arts type training. So it's modelled on what thugs do. Thugs tend to use deception and surprise. They might set you up by talking to you, then they'll fire them with or they'll ask you to pull something out your pocket, like you get your watch, they want to know the time, or they ask you for money or something, then they'll hit you. Your response being hit, you just cover up, and they'll start grabbing, doing this kind of thing, so they'll hit you whilst you're still upright after they've just sneakily thrown a shot in. Then they'll start, usually, it's very, very simple, dragging on the clothes, spinning round, drag to the floor, kick to the head. That's all it's modelled on. That's where this model came from. I'm trying to get people away from a model of martial arts, if you just stand and freeze with the right cross, where they start demoing what they think they could do, where you have this illusion of options. If my partner is nice and compliant and stays still, there's 1,001 complicated things I can fantasize that I can do. It drives me nuts to see martial arts instructors going, and I could do this, and then I've got here, and then here, and then here, and they're like using their hands to chop into the leg or elbow strikes, and they're talking about this flows from here into this, and it flows here into this, and yes, it does if he remains completely fucking still, but a fight isn't going to look like that. And a lot of these more flowery things that you see being demoed, and all of us have these fantasies of what we would like to work in a fight, can actually be tested with some very, very simple combative pressure tests. Now, you're responsible for your own safety. You're responsible for making sure that you don't get hurt. So, you know, do this under the instruction and supervision of a qualified professional. But these are some very, very simple tests. If it doesn't work under these low-level combative conditions, it's probably no good. One of the very simple tests is, if you just grab here, is if we step backwards that way, right, if there's anything that I want to do, can I do it if somebody's grabbed me? This is simple combative test number 1. Can I do it if somebody's grabbed me? Because this is a very common way for people to, when they're getting angry, to attack each other. And they pull up and in, and it can be hard enough to bruise your chest. So does anything particularly flowery, like limb destruction techniques, is that going to work from here? Then the other part of the test is to just drive backwards. If you push me backwards, stop there. So if I've been pulled here, which stops a lot of upper body movement, and then I'm being driven backwards, my centre of gravity is now moving backwards, a lot of things go. There's a hell of a lot that I can, if you stay still, like a bob dummy or a punch bag, there's a load of things that I can do here that suddenly can't be done if I get grabbed. You know, it's not as easy. There's no hip twist now. If I'm being pushed backwards, it's even worse. And the third part of the test, if you just grab me and slam me into the wall, is this. Here. Now, you do this as hard as you feel comfortable with your partner. Let's just do that again, but really, really slowly. So you can do it like this, grab me and slow and in. Now, he's giving me enough pressure to let me feel being slammed into a wall. I've had this done to me. It's a really difficult thing to get out of, especially if it's over a car or there's a table there or some kind of a ledge. Then your centre of gravity is now here. You're so limited now, the combative pressure is so high, your options have really shrunk. There's no spinning, turning, back kicks from here, there's no back fists from here, but this is the kind of combative pressure you're going to have to deal with in the street. So this is a nice simple way of just testing any kind of flowery move or anything that you're not 100% sure about working, just work it like that. And you don't have to go particularly hard. As you get more advanced and you feel more comfortable, if it's safe for you to do, you can go harder. I trust Peter, and he knows I can take it, so I don't mind him going harder. So if you grab, now imagine you want to get conditioned to real world violence, the context of real world violence. Isn't this, if you just do that again, go again, doesn't this look and feel more like somebody who's actually trying to hurt me than if you do some kind of martial artsy style punch, like a stylized punch? You know, when have you seen that in a brawl? However, the other attack, you see this all the time in barroom brawls. So if you're working from that, it's a lot more effective. And then if you grab me again, from here, because this is now, the context has now changed, his attack has changed, I can start, I'm not going to be a fascist and tell you what techniques and what defences to derive from here, but if you're working from a more realistic attack, you can start to work it out. You can start to go, well, if you had actually done that and you had actually pulled me back, is it quite important that I sink my weight, that I sink my leg back here? Is that ergonomically efficient? Do I want to be pushing your head offline using the blade of my forearm? Can I peel this? Does it come down to hand strength? Does it come down to, you know, you can start working? Or do you want to do something more preemptive? You go again, where you're here. The more preemptive, generally speaking, here's a piece of advice, not that I'm giving you technical training right now, the more preemptively you move, the better chance you've got of eradicating the other person's attack. Thank you. So also in the manual I showed you a second simple combative test that I think anybody can run and you should be able to run safely. As I say, you're responsible for your own safety. And this is where I'm just trying to make the point that a lot of things you think you can do when your centre of gravity is being affected, when your whole body is being moved and you're just being grabbed, they suddenly go out the window. Negative assumptions, there's going to be no time, there's going to be no space, there's going to be no footing, and you're going to have to make the best of what you've got there. When you start training this way, it kills a lot of the laziness. If we always assume that we're always going to be face to face and he's always going to have a chance to move and do stuff, when I actually just get inside of his face, he's going to be like, oh, you cheeky fucker, you didn't, where's my warning? What you know, and then you'll be in a state of psychological shock. Whereas if you go to grab me, if you're used to this, you're immediately going, you're used to that moment of, oh shit, what's happening? There are going to be times where you're switched off, you've just had an argument with your girlfriend or whatever, you feel sick, you've drunk too much, you've eaten too much or whatever, where you are going to be switched off. So you have to really train your neurology to, when it says, oh shit, if you grab me again, it doesn't go, oh shit, and go submissive, it's oh shit and something, anything. This is why I create the concept of a generic combative response, where you raise your hands, you step into the guy's space a little bit. We're doing attacks from the front again. If you grab me from the back, I'm like, I didn't even know how that grab was going to play out. But as soon as I feel hands on me, if I wait, I could end up in a choke. If you go again, as soon as I feel it, I go, shit, what's this? I was walking to the bus stop and a guy grabbed me. So your response is turn in. turn, let your hips face the guy, turn in, get your hands up. Things will get hit. He will get hit. You've got a much better chance than if you go submissive. So here's another simple combative test. I'm going to do it to you because I know you don't like the grappling. Which is you grab your partner either in a tie clinch or an over-under clinch and just turn them. I'm just going to demonstrate this for you really, really simply. If you tie clinch, it's neck. If you grab to my neck as well, you grab the neck. You can either go inside with both hands, or you can grab onto the elbow here. I told you Peter didn't like the grappling. And all you're going to do is turn them. A simple tie turn is where you take your back foot and turn and place it behind you, and then having dragged your weight back, you then drag them through and down. That's one way of doing it. You can actually take your partner to the floor. If you stay standing for this one, grab onto my neck. I'm going to turn him the other way. And so any sort of ideas or technical things that he's thinking he might be able to do, will they work with this level of very low level of simple combative pressure, me just grabbing him? I'm now controlling pretty much all of his upper body, and I'm controlling his centre of gravity by pulling him through and down. Stay stood up for this next one, mate.
It's hard to stay up when your centre of gravity.
This is actually a really, really good takedown. If you grab hold again, it's a really, really good takedown. Dead simple. It's basically a head control takedown, which is just to step in and as you're going, pull through. I'm going to keep my centre of gravity up a little bit more just to help you stay upright. So all you're doing is this, turning and turning around to there. And that just affects your centre of gravity. So any ideas, your flowery sort of limb destructions or anything like that, will they work if somebody's come inside and they're grabbing here? And that can be, as I said before, that could be either a Muay Thai grab, or if they're going for some kind of over-under, overhooks, underhooks, or even if it's just a bear hug. Grab hold of each other, move each other around. So if I'm here, things are going to change for Peter. His options have changed. There's a lot less available to him because I'm controlling his centre of gravity and I'm squeezing his upper limbs in. If you grab me however you want, just a bear hug, this is actually quite inconvenient. Like if I'm a martial artist and I want him there, where's my... he's in the wrong place. What's going to happen? How are you training? If somebody gets you like this, are you going to panic, like a lot of people do, and start trying to punch them in the back of the head? Or are you going to know what to do? So the way you train is the way you're going to react. So prepare for a realistic degree of physical violence. Okay, the point of the second simple combative pressure test isn't to teach you about Muay Thai, it isn't to teach you about over-under hooks. It's just to give you something that you can experiment with. The point of this is so that you don't adopt an attitude of just submission to authority. Don't do it just because an instructor or a system or a style tells you to. Don't do it because you saw it on a YouTube video. Get with your mate and try it. So a very, very simple way of doing that is to do that Muay Thai clinch with a simple turn. And the easiest way of doing that is if I've got hold of the guy and my left leg is forward. So to go through this step by step, I'm going to take my left leg backwards. I'm stepping right way back, my arse is sticking out. My hands are here and I'm going to pull his head forward and in, which starts to break his balance. And then I'm just going to turn and face the other way. It's kind of almost an Aikido sort of a movement. So I'm here, let's make this really, really martial artsy. So it's dead easy to copy. I'm here, my leg goes back, and I turn. Do it again, I'm here, my leg goes back, I'm sinking my weight down, and then just turn. And it's that. So at this point here, I'm breaking his balance because I'm pulling his head forward and down. I'm then turning here, his balance is now broken, and then I'm ripping through. If his balance isn't broken, and I get to here, and try and rip, nothing's going to happen. So keep him in tight, squeeze your lats, squeeze your biceps, pull his head in and down, turn. Nice and simple move for you to try with each other. The point of the simple combative pressure test number 2 is not really to get into a whole big thing about grappling and the technicalities of grappling. It's, as I said before, it's so that you can test these things for yourself. Don't get stuck on it, keep it simple. But the thing is, you may very well get grabbed by any thug in the street in this kind of a way, and you do need to know how to deal with it. If you just grab me around my waist, you can't afford to be clueless. Like, your body must be moving already before this happens. If I stay straight and upright with my centre of gravity over my toes and my legs straight, I'm probably going to end up on my arse. Now, in the street, let's face it, he's probably not going to be a wrestling champion, he's probably not going to dump me on my head, he's not going to suplex me, but from here I could fall onto concrete and his mates could fucking kick me. The last place I want to go to is the floor. Concrete, broken bottles, loads of shit everywhere, people can kick you in the head very, very easily. So I want you to develop this ability to be able to grab each other and know, no shit, I need to be immediately, my centre of gravity must drop. See, as soon as my centre of gravity drops, because I'm quite wide as well, his grip's broken. So nothing can happen until you make it work. So you move, make movements, do things that are common sense. Go slow with each other. So we're talking to each other and going, all right lads, so you go on, grab me there. Right, so if I try and do this, no, I can't do that. I can't get my hands to his face. There's no point trying to punch him. There's no point, maybe I could go for it. Work it out. My advice on this one would be, is if anybody grabs you, you should try and stop it before they've got it on. If they've got it on because you're stretched off, sink your weight. See, my head sinks in here. It's just so that he can't punch me. The closer my head is to his, the harder it is for him to punch me in the face. If my face is there, you can punch it. If my face is there, you can't. That's why when you see the cage fights, when they get up against the cage, they go in here, tight. And usually you want to be, if he's right-handed, I want my head on this side of his head, just because it's harder to hit my face. Simple little things, but work it out with each other. Get used to this level of combative pressure. And anything that you've been shown, if you do that punch and freeze, anything that you've been shown that you think might be dodgy or might not work, run it through these tests. Real simple. Thank you. Simple combative test number 3, as it's written out in the manual, is to simply not to be compliant. If I've got a really, comply with everything I'm about to do, if I've got a really compliant partner, these are one of the things that when you stand on the door, you'll get lads on the door and they'll be like, do you know any good wrist locks and arm locks? And they'll go, yeah, I've seen this one, right? You could have him here, you do this, you could have hold of his thumb, and then you like poke your elbow into his nipple and go, and it's just like, absolute fucking, whilst the guy's standing there letting you do it, yeah, all of that's going to work. All of this kind of thing, and a pressure point into his hands, and I'm here, all of that will work. If he decides to simply not be compliant, just don't let me put a wrist lock on you. Oh, fuck. Oh, that lad on the door said this would work. Oh no. How long is he going to do that before he gets bored and just goes poof and punches me in the face? So the third drill is to just imagine what it would be like if the person wasn't compliant. Do your stick your hand out and freeze again. I love this. There's so much stuff I can do. Bang, his knees going here, smash his bicep. And all of this works. You know, the flowing strikes things will work, and I've seen people in the combative community, they're teaching flowing strikes, bang, and then it's head control, and it moves from there. Let me just show you something with the head control. So just relax your neck and just go with it and turn in towards me. Okay, doesn't that look cool? Didn't I look like I was in control there? Okay, just resist it. Don't fight me, but just walk out of it. What was the technique that allowed him to defeat that? Do it to me, do the head control thing to me. I've seen people in seminars doing this, and they just tense their neck, and they just do that. People who've walked in off the street, who've never trained a day of martial arts in their life, do it again. You just go like that. Oh shit, it doesn't work. Why? Because why is it not working? Because a human being with no training is responding the way any human being would. Somebody grabs you by the neck, you're not just going to go, oh yeah mate, I well want to give you control of my head. I well want to be looking over there so you can twist my neck. Somebody does that, they're like, what the fuck are you doing, lad? It's not going to happen, and I don't want you to be in a position, stick your hand out, freeze, be a mannequin. I don't want you to be in a position of thinking, yay, I'm so confident, this is awesome, I'm going to kill someone if I get into a fight. And then they start grabbing you and butting you and stuff, and you're like, shit, it's not like this in training. I want you to feel in a fight like, I know where I am. Yeah, I've been here before, I know exactly what to do, I know exactly what's going to work, what's not going to work, and you should feel like this is home. And you just walked into my lair, and now you're in trouble. That's how you want to be training, that's how you should feel when you're in a fight. So the third test is just lack of compliance. Put a wrist lock on me. So instead of going, here, do it again. You just slip. Grab it again, put it on. So if somebody's actually put it on, there's a game here, it's like social hypnosis that occurs with a lot of martial arts, where if you let it get to this point, it really hurts and you think, fuck, it feels like my wrist is breaking. But if you actually step out of that game, step out of the box and go, yeah, but shouldn't I? Oh yeah. there's a way out here, go again. You might not even need to use your other hand. What's keeping this in place is me resisting. I've seen people doing this with the police, and I'm thinking, just don't resist. Because I'm resisting, I'm like, fuck, that really hurts. If I allow I don't have to stay like this. I don't have to stand like this, I could just move. Remember the Thai step I showed you before? Oh, it was Aikido. Just move your body, just find the exits. Your body knows what to do, but you've got to put it in those positions and trust it. Thank you. Okay, so this next test from the manual I'm going to walk through with you, another really, really simple one, but that could be potentially quite dangerous. Don't do it without supervision. You're responsible for your own safety, not me. One of the ways that you'll often see people training, which bothers me because I think they're going to expect this level of compliance in the street, just keep completely still, is this is the worst example. I'm just going to use punches to the face as an example for this, which is to go here. If you just step back a little bit, I can't even do it because there isn't a space. Just take one step back. That's it. So here, same hand, same foot, vertical fist to the face. It really doesn't get more obvious than this. I have never, ever seen or been in a fight where anybody has punched anyone like this. If you can't get out of the way of that with no martial arts training whatsoever, there is something wrong with you. The more lighter variations of that is when it's still close, but it's just either not penetrating through into the face, or it's the kind of punch where even if it hit you, it wouldn't do that much damage. This, bang. The pressure that goes into the chin there isn't likely to cause a knockout. The pressure needs to go into the chin to the sides, and the direction of force needs to go into the sides. If it goes straight forward, I'm sure it'll be uncomfortable, but it's less likely to cause a knockout. So you've got to start looking at, well, nobody in the street is going to punch like that. Nobody in the street is going to punch like that. They're not going to be punching like that. So you've got to look at what's a realistic way of punching. Well, one of the things is the guy is actually going to be trying to contact with your face. So once you start doing that, things change. So if you give me a really compliant punch, there's so much I can do from here that makes me feel really, really comfortable. This is almost like a Jeet Kune Do, trap and slap sort of a thing, which has come from a right cross. So you think, well, that's realistic, because as I mentioned in the manual, if he's moving slowly, that's the same thing as a real punch, but a real punch just happens with speed. So do it again. So that's the same thing, isn't it? Except it's not. Because when a real punch comes with speed and with intention, it actually changes weight. You know, the force of that punch coming in, the force of it has now increased through momentum and through violent intent. Wait a sec. Don't do this, okay? I want you to try and punch me in the chin. Not yet. So I've asked my partner to punch me in the chin, so I know where it's coming. I know he's going to try and hit me there, and I know he's going to try and hit me with the right cross, but let me see if that defense works or not. I'm just going to close my mouth when you're ready. Okay, so immediately what's happened? Too much follow through. So because he's put weight behind it, as somebody in the street will, if they're trying to take your head off, there's too much follow through, and it just smashed straight through the defense. If he fed me the punch as I've been fed in training, giving me soft compliant, no follow through. Ah, strange. Now this works, but in the street one, can't. I mean, if I move, there's pros and cons. I might be able to move out of the way and he could hit a lamppost and knock himself out. I've seen people do that in fights before, usually drunk obviously, but it changes the whole thing. So what I suggested in the manual is that you actually put gloves on, put a gum shield in, and try this to a degree. Keep each other safe, but instead of just going, meh, give each other a bit of combative, I'm not going to hit you, give each other a bit of realistic combative pressure, try grabbing first and then snotting in. But make the other, that was, you know, you can still control it. I can still hit him in the face with a boxing glove, but pull it, but give him the right mechanics, the right physiology, the degree of intent, so that when it, and then he gets bored of that. Okay, so if you're getting used to this, blank face, you're right, mate, yeah. What are you having for tea after? That's how you're training, that's how I see loads of people training, versus having somebody grab you and go, fuck off! Scary at first, and then you get it another 2-3 times, fuck off, and then again you get grabbed, fuck off. By the 10th time, your emotional response will go down. It's just conditioning, you just get used to it. It's like hearing a dog's bark. You hear it over and over and over again, it reduces it. So I'm saying, train like this, train to the point where aggression is dull. Step back in for me, mate. Train to the point where you receive this so many times, you're actually bored of it. And then again. Not, obviously, with a boxing glove on, and he's going to respond. I'm making a point about the level of intensity I want you to bring to your training, just so you can get conditioned to that degree of combative pressure. Okay, so this next section, I'm going to move on to a particular way of training that I favour. I've already shown you some of the ways of testing techniques. Now I'm going to show you certain ways of training techniques that are how you would actually want to respond in a fight. And a lot of this I base around shot placement. I favour shot placement drills because they don't require any equipment. You're using the actual tool to the actual target at the right time, right space. Pads, bags don't move like human beings do. Human beings move like human beings do. Now, where this came from was I was actually, the only places I've seen it trained are in kickboxing and in Goju-Ryu karate. Gary Sandland was my kickboxing instructor. He's got a black belt in Goju-Ryu, and he started me in this, but he gave it to me first from a kickboxing background. So he's just stand in front of me. And what we would do, and what you'll see Muay Thai fighters and kickboxers do, step back a little bit more, is they will throw techniques at each other. So I'm going to give you 3 techniques if you just feed them back to me as they are. So you start with a left front kick, yep, and then go jab, cross. So I'll do the full 3. I'll go front kick, jab, cross. So front kick, jab, cross, same, front kick, jab, cross. You do this with gloves on, and it's a great way of building confidence. It's a great way of programming your neurology for what will actually happen in the ring. So for what we want, we can do exactly the same thing. We'll just run through that again. So we've got front kick and a jab, cross, front kick, jab, cross. What we can start doing is another simple drill. Again, it's shot placement, but more combatively flavoured. If you step forward a little bit more, is we can start looking at coming inside and going C-grip, headbutt, eye gouge. You do the same thing. So C-grip, head, eye gouge. And you can work it like that. You can do a 3 for 3, but with more combatively themed techniques. So come inside, you C-grip, headbutt, protect each other. Obviously, it's shot placement, but I can't smash through. I can go to the right target, get used to that feeling of attacking another human being combatively, but without hurting him. The only thing we're taking out here is speed. Every other element is there. You can even add violent intent. But because there's no speed, I can contact, but I'm not doing any damage. You go the same to me. So in, and headbutt, and eye. So you actually can have really effective drills that drill your neurology to do what you're going to be doing in a street fight. You do pads all the time, you're not targeting, your neurology is not targeting to the human being. Just hold your hand up as though you've got a pad. It's targeting away from the human being. Repetitively over time, if I get into a fight, my targeting is going to be off because I'm not going to be used to hitting here. So if I want to get used to punching another person in the chin to knock them out, at some point I'm going to have to do a shot placement drill, step forward a little bit, that looks like this. This is a good preemptive strike shot placement drill. 1, 2, 3. How many of you have done it? You've got to do it because that's what you're training for in a fight. It's going to be against another human being. This is a very unique and very strange feeling that you'll only get by placing your knuckles against another human being's jaw and pushing through it. You must do it. So we're going to look at some variations of the shot placement drill now. Because of the lack of speed here, your partner is going to be completely compliant. I'm not saying that compliance is always bad, it's that there is a place and a time for it. A drill that is there to develop attributes is not the same as a test of skills. That's also there in the manual. A drill that is there to develop, this is just to develop a certain skill set. It's absolutely essential. The problem is that what we train to do is really, really violent and potentially damaging to people. We're training to deliver as much damage in a short period of time as possible. We can't do it. If you put pads on and you start going at each other with pads on, you'll get false confidence from wearing pads. You'll learn to hit people in a way, even if he's got a helmet on, it's not going to be the same as his jaw. It doesn't look like his jaw, it doesn't feel like his jaw. As I say, it just drills that false confidence and it drills me to hit away from the real targets. If he's got like a body shield on, I'm actually going to be hitting away from where I would be in real life. It looks different, it feels different. This stuff is really important, which is why animals in the wild, when they're training to fight, they have mini brawls with each other. see this as a kind of play fighting, okay? Just view this as a form of simulation. It's a simulated fight. You can build this up however you want. You can have an entire environment created there as realistic as it would be in real life. You just don't, you can use weapons, you can use multiples, you can use large opponents, but you're not using speed, so everyone stays safe. So this is where compliance becomes important. What you don't want to have is a situation where your compliance is leading you to think that techniques that will not work in the real world will work. Run your drills, run your non-compliant pressure test drills, find the techniques that do actually work, that do consistently float to the surface by studying real world violence, and then this is how you drill them. You're not going to learn anything from these shot placement drills, which are not particularly visually impressive, by just sitting there and watching them. You've got to actually get up off your arse and do them. The main benefit, there's a highly beneficial drills, trust me, but you must do them, and you must do them for extended periods of time. You don't have to stay in a particularly intense state of mind. You can switch off a little bit and just do the drills, but do them over and over and over again. Whatever you do a lot of, you're going to get really, really good at. So in this drill, you're going to get good at choosing targets on a person and hitting them with the natural weapons of your body. This is adapted from Tony Blauer's Range Rover drill, what I'm going to show you now. Try this with a partner, look after each other, keep each other safe. Safety is absolutely paramount. Train intelligently and do kind of work things out with each other. It's really, really simple. All I'm going to do is I'm going to stand in a particular stance and I'm going to tell Peter what to hit me with, and he's just going to go through it. Looks painfully simple, but it's really, really useful if you actually get yourself into a fight. So punch, palm strike, headbutt, knee, kick. Cool, stop there. So you see, what I'm creating is a situation where Peter has to go, oh, okay, so I've just punched, so I'm not really in range, how am I going to deliver a headbutt? He's got to step in range, and as he's working these things out, he's actually looking at, oh, how can I step back in the most economic way to deliver a kick? That is a useful skill. Learning to hit harder and harder on pads in the dojo is not. Once you've learned to hit fairly hard, after that, it doesn't matter. In the street, what you want to stop is this thing of getting so stressed out that all you do is hammer away into the person's head because you're stressed out, you're panicking, and you're frightened. You want to be able to go, oh shit, where's the target? What have I, there could be multiples, could be loads of different people there. You might only have 2 or 3 shots. To be able to look and go, shit, his leg's available. If my knee straight forward, right into the muscle, heading towards the bone, that could actually stop him from using that leg. Bang, I'm in here, bang, and I've got this headbutt in, and then there's somebody else to deal with. It's precision. It's all about precision. So if you do the same thing for me, just call whatever shot you want.
Jab.
Sorry.
Sorry,
Don't contact, like I just did.
I made contact with you actually.
Oh. So don't, if you are going to contact, go slow. Just protect each other as much as possible.
Headbutt. Elbow. Knee. Check down.
Okay, so it's low level intensity. Use it as little intensity as you can and just move through those techniques. This is just to get you used to the shot placement, and then we're going to move on to something else. Another principle that we work with that was mentioned in the manual is that everything should be rooted in your state, should be rooted in emotions. The state that you're training in is the emotional state that you want to actually be fighting in. So you can actually do a very, very safe, low-level drill like this, and you can actually start to add a little bit of violence intent into it. So you just go into any stance at all. Now, if I'm just going to do, I'm just going to punch and then kick, but I want to add violence intent to it, all I have to do is put myself into an aggressive state first. Now, this isn't a DVD about combative psychology or about state accessing, but it's not that hard to do. Getting into an aggressive state, clench the jaw, come through, you can strike and through and tense the muscles, and the intent in your mind, the visualization in your mind is you want to smash, you want to snap his jaw, you want to break through that jaw, but you're going to do it slow, bang, you smash through here. Now if I'm going to kick him in the knee, my intent is to dislocate his knee, so it's here but slow. Firing through and into there. It's all done really, really slowly, and you might think, but if it's all done slowly, how is this, even with violence intent, going to help in a fight? When you're in a fight and you're panicking, everything will go a lot faster. You won't have a problem going, fucking hell, because You'll be angry, you'll have accessed that aggression, and it'll be motivated by self-preservation. So you can put violence intent back into the drills, but do it safely. Okay, so what we're going to look at now is combining the shot placement drills with pad work, but doing this in an intelligent way that doesn't make us pad slaves. Pads, Muay Thai pads, boxing bags, all the rest of that are great if you've got gloves on and you're working Muay Thai, kickboxing and boxing techniques preparing you for a ring fight, because people will stand and trade with you in the ring. It's not a natural way to fight. There's no desire to assault or kill the other person there. It's a social agreement between two consenting adults to stand there and bang away at each other. People in real fights, they move. Targets move in weird ways, really, really rapidly. If all we're doing is standing with the pads and you're hitting away and I go right across and I'm here with the pads and covering here, it doesn't prepare you for the fact that you might punch the guy in the face, bang, and instead of him going backwards, which is what he should do, people do weird shit in street fights. They do really weird stuff. He ends up grabbing me around the waist. So instead of moving, he should have moved away. I just punched him in. So where's the pad work for this? So if you stop there, if we were going to replicate that on the pads, what we would have to do is, if you just grab that and hold it up, is me hitting here, then put the pad there and there. This is what happens in fights. Targets move. If the target is the head, and this represents the head, remember, as a simulation, as a symbolic representation of the human skull, this is quite rubbish, but we've got to work with what we've got. If we do that again, it's actually not a bad drill, that. So if you just hold it up, so I'm imagining I'm going to hit a guy in the jaw, I've set him up, I've seen him, and I've hit him, and he's come in there. Now, if you don't do pad drills like this, in an actual fight, if somebody's head goes there, you're going to panic. If all you've been doing is pad drills, you might make a mistake here. You might think, oh, it's his head, keep punching. How likely am I to get a knockout with this body mechanics here? If his jaw's exposed, and I'm very good, maybe. But I would suggest, if you pull back again, so if I do right cross, bang, and his head's there, I immediately grab and look to head control and start gouging, biting into the ear and pushing the head down. Remember, this is one of the phases of the drill. Actually pushing him down, this is the third phase of the drill. Push his head down, knee, knee. So we do it again. Sorry, I'm going to right cross and then he's going to come in, bang, here. That is more realistic than just standing there going bang, 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 and imagining the guy's going to stand and face me the whole time, which is what most pad drills prepare you for. I should have told you to do that before. Yeah. So just do that. This is just a really quick improvised simulation for you. So the pad comes up here, bang, and then it's in. You make a decision. If you want to go for strikes here, you want to try headbutting, you're more than welcome. I don't want to be a techniques fascist. For me, I'd be seeking to control the head. Bang, grab in, pull it down, get my space for a nice long knee, bang, and bang. Simple. Okay, so here's the shot placement drill for a particular routine, and then I'm going to show you it on the pads. So you just stand in front of me as before. We're going to work from imagining that you've lined somebody up, as we were talking about earlier, and you've delivered your preemptive strike, bang, but it hasn't worked. Then what you're going to do is you're going to follow through. Now, the beautiful thing about shot placement is it allows you to work with people's reactions. So imagine I've clipped him in the jaw. This is totally improvised, we've not been through it. How would you react to getting punched in the jaw?
Is it that been twatted?
Yeah, if you've actually been hit, where do you think your head would go?
Just doing a bit of sweep.
Okay, so see how which is a fairly realistic reaction. I've knocked his head back, he's gone backwards, and he's drawn away. Now, if I stop, he's going to come in and give me trouble. So if you come back to where you were, so we imagine this is an ego, sort of like chest bumping, yeah, do you want to fucking go, whatever, and I've just gone bang, and I've hit him, there. If I don't pursue that, I'm going to be in trouble. For me, because his hands are still down, and a lot of big guys, especially if they've been on the juice and the weights, they do walk around, even in fights with the hands down. I'm going to step straight through, bang, and follow through here, and then I'm going to head, bang, bang, and then knee. You can work with whatever reaction you want, but I do advise it because you get funny things happen in fights. If you punch me, I mean, I might just do as Peter said and just do that, or just punch me again, bang, here, I might go, and turn, and totally cover my face. And you need to know what to do. You need to train for this so you can immediately move. If you pretend to kick me in the groin, bang, imagine he connects and kicks me in the groin, okay? What's going to happen? I might end up here, all the way forward. Sorry, I moved as we moved. Kick him. So here, I might end up going, and covering. Now I'm on top of him. What about if from here I start trying to grapple with him? When you hit the pad, if this is a punch bag, and I go body shot, the punch bag goes, So how's that representing for a fight? That means if he's body shotted me, I've gone, and step back in. Not likely, is it? Body shot me again. Here, fold. He's caught me in the ribs, the internal organ's squashed, all the air's rushed out my lungs, I'm going to fold here. Just fucking, sorry for swearing, this changes everything. All of a sudden, my main target here has now moved down and out of my line of primary fire. So if I hit you, just react as you would. All of a sudden the main target's down, his body's moved away from me, the target's now, his jaw's now not available. From my perspective, his jaw now isn't available. If you just turn to the camera, dip your head, his jaw is not as available as it is, come back upright when it's there. This is the kind of thing you need to get used to. Okay, we're going to look at this, working this on the pads. What this is now is we're now, rather than letting the pad drills dictate how we work, and sort of forward engineering the pad drills and just put the pads up. So normally for Muay Thai I'd be hitting here and I'd be practicing my elbows and whatever, which is great, perfectly valid, totally useful and necessary for Muay Thai way. We're reverse engineering from the context and saying, okay, but the human body doesn't move like that. If we look at my last example, how are we going to create a pad drill that looks like the last example that we did? Well, we started with me hitting him in the head there and his head then going back. I then followed through with an elbow. So if he stops there, instead of as you would in a pad drill by coming back here, if he stops there, this is much more realistic. You will have to chase people in fights at times. Sometimes they'll fall into you, sometimes they'll fall away from you, sometimes they'll try and run away from you, sometimes they'll cover up and turn. You have to maintain the attack. He's come back here, I need to make that decision. What I did before was I said, okay, I'm going to come with an elbow. Then what I want to do is I want to fake on the pads, doing 2 headbutts and then a knee to the groin. So we need to work out how we're going to do this. If you're going to headbutt into the pads, don't do it hard. You're responsible for your own safety. It's just a symbolic representation. So you're here, down, clipping shot, clipping shot. Notice I'm grabbing the back of his hand on the pads as though it was the back of his head, as you would when headbutting somebody, so that I know exactly, this is his throat if you imagine, or I can grab here, I know exactly where his head is, bang, bang, and I can strike. Then if you just fold them together for a groin shot, then he goes down to here, bang, I can strike with a groin shot there. Nice and simple, but it's moving techniques to moving targets, and it's forcing me to react in a more realistic way that looks more like a human body being hit. Thank you. Okay, the point I'm making with these drills is about having the shot placement and the actual way the human being is moving as being the priority, but then to allow you to hit with speed and with force to apply the pads, but not in such a way that's going to imply or lead you to be trained that the human being that you're hitting is just going to stay in the right space at the right time. They won't. They will change ranges, the targets will move in all kinds of weird and wonderful places, and you have to be able to flow with that, and this is a great way to train you to do it. I'm just going to give you one more worked example, and this is just a training methodology. You use it using your own techniques however you want. Let's just work through this example. So I've got somebody on my shoulder, so you just go chest to shoulder. So I'm standing there trying to ignore him, and you know, it's like a psychological type of an attack that I think merits, you know, a hard physical response, because I think it's going to get worse. So I'm going to deliver a clipping headbutt this way, bang, and then I'm going to gouge up and into the face. Now his reaction, if you just turn and cover your face, as though you're just protecting yourself, just turn away like that. So if he turns here, right, this is absolutely perfect, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Everything has now changed. Most of his head, if you just turn and face the camera, just turn a little bit more that way, so the camera's got you there, cool. Most of that now, his jaw is now not available. I can only palm to his, and I can only punch to his jaw. That's suddenly now not available. I can try and punch here, right into the back of his neck. That's a very, very accurate shot, or I can go for some sort of a low-lying kick. Imagine it's a slippery surface, so kicking's out of the question. I'm going to go for a really, really accurate shot right into the back of his neck here. I can't afford it to hit his head, can't afford it to hit his hand, his ear, waste of time, shoulder, waste of time. Right here is what I'm going for. So you turn back around here, sorry mate, go back to that position. So I'm going to hit here, bang, and we're going to do this on the pads in a moment. And then what's going to happen is he's going to rush in for a tackle. As he rushes for the tackle, I'm going to sink my weight and make sure that I've got some kind of a sprawl, but I'm not going to do a full MMA sprawl or a wrestling sprawl on the floor. I'm going to do a street sprawl, keep myself upright, and then I'm just going to gouge into the face just to buy myself time and control his head and keep his head down, and then I'm just going to knee. Now, having kneed, if you just turn away and cover so that you're here, cover to, that's it, perfect. And this is the last movement. I'm going to look here and make a decision. I could either go low line into his lower limbs, or I could keep attacking the head, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kick into the head. This is just to give you a work, sorry, you can come up. This is to give you a worked example of a multiplicity of different striking and gouging techniques at a load of different ranges. Now we're going to work through that with the pads for you for this final example. This is it on the pads. So here. So it just allows you to do, it's all different targets, different techniques, different ranges, but it allows you to do it with a bit of speed and a bit of violence intent. The last thing I want to talk about very, very quickly is scenario drills, okay? Very often people do scenario drills. They are important, but they go on for too long, they're too extensive, and there's not enough of a reaction. Just push that pad into my space. That's a scenario drill, okay? A very, very short, very, very quick scenario drill. That's how fast they should be. If you put that up again, I'm making a point just about the physical technique here, and then I'll show you the scenario drill in a second. Move into my space. The key word here is move into my space. As soon as somebody aggressively steps into your space, and if they're stepping, it will be with their head. So this is their head, it's moving. As soon as that head comes in, you should be hitting them. So we're not creating scenario drills. I'm going to talk to the head. Listen, mate, I don't want a problem with you. Look, just leave me alone. No, seriously, I really don't want a problem with you. No, it's going to be okay. I'm going to phone my mum and she'll talk to you and she'll make you a cup of... So, like, no. If you're walking, if you just push me with the pad and there's the head and somebody steps into my space, I don't give a fuck why, what, whoever. Hit them. Then we'll have a chat about what you're doing, why you're doing, and wherever else. So just pop that off for a second. I've seen people doing drills, just walk with me very, very slowly, that go on and on and on, where people are perpetually walking backwards, 10, 15 meters. Listen, mate, I don't want a problem with you, just leave me alone. Listen, no, it's going to be okay, it's going to be, I don't want a problem with you, I don't want a problem with you. None of that shit is going to play out like that in the real world. No fucking chance. If anybody's got any kind of serious intent towards you and it's a genuine threat, there is no way they're just going to be walking and walking onto you. Every second that you let that person walk onto you, you are becoming less and less safe, you're going to become more and more fearful, and they're going to get more and more confident. As I said in the manual, imagine if I was training your mum or your sister. Do you want me to train your mum or your sister to be like, no, listen, it'll be okay, let's talk about this, blah, blah, and talk and keep moving backwards? Or do you want me to train them to go, listen, stay there, mate, fuck off? The best chance they've got is that element of deception and surprise. Somebody walks into your space, bang! I might not even knock him out, but that's why we've got the core game plan. So that you immediately start coming in, attacking him, and you attack the attacker. Scenario drills should be tight and specific. The reason why they go a bit mental in the dojo is because everybody's trying to be a good bad guy and they're projecting their idea of what violence, real world violence is, onto the scenario. It's irrelevant. Keep yourself on a short fuse. If you've got somebody walking into your space aggressively, as I said, this isn't a DVD on criminal law. You need to understand the law as it applies to you in reasonable force, given the context. But somebody walking into your space aggressively, threatening you, I don't have to wait for him to swing. I'm not going to wait for him to swing. If he's telling me he wants to beat me up and he's shouting and swearing and all the rest of it, I'm going to attack him because I can't afford to take the chance. And I'm professional. This is all I do. This is what I do for a living. I wouldn't take that chance of going, oh well, I'm into martial arts and I train a bit. I'll wait and see what happens, eh? I'll wait and see if he swings for me or if he produces a knife. Then I'll go, fuck him. I'm just out there trying to go about my business in a perfectly legal, normal, civilized way. Somebody's verbally attacking me, they're walking into my space, presumably to physically attack me. I'm going to hit them. I'm going to hit them, I'm going to hit them hard, I'm going to get inside the space and attack them. So the scenario drills, keep them tight. Could you put the pad on again for a second? Not too many threats, not too many different objectives, not too many different things going on in the scenario. just get very used to responding immediately, immediate retaliation. And that could be either the scenario is it's a verbal thing, somebody's walking into your space and you're going stay back, stay back. If I'm saying to a guy stay back with this posture, listen mate, just stay back. Why is he still walking into my space? He's got no reason to be doing it. Stay back, bang, just hit him. 2 seconds, maybe 1.5 seconds. And I'm not stepping back and stepping back and stepping back. I'll step back once, maybe 1.5 steps. Here, just enough to get my range, and then I'm going to clock him. No reason for somebody to be stepping in your space going, you fucking little prick, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to... Hit them. Just hit them. And it doesn't matter if that's a retaliation, if you just push me in the back of the head, you can work from that to train for immediately responding to threats with violence. You can actually train to be hit in the back of the head and boom! That's the attitude. Turn, deliver. Attack the attacker. Blitz him, take him out. Okay, that's the end of the Thug Jitsu DVD. If you've got any questions, it's richie@streetfightsecrets.com. Thank you.